Hi, Side Youth. Hope you guys are doing well. This is kind of just a recap of what we talked about Sunday evening. For those who were not able to be with us, or if you just wanted to refresh. But before we get into that, just a reminder. This Sunday after church, we're going to be leaving to go out to the coast. And so, if you're planning on going that, we'd love to have you join us. We'll be leaving the church about 12:30ish. So I would say bring a towel. Bring a chair if you want it. Bring sunscreen and anything else that you would need to go to the beach. I would say bring a sweatshirt as well because sometimes it's cool there. But we're gonna have a good time. Have some food and some fellowship, and probably do a campfire, a little fire pit, and worship and a lesson out there with some games as well on the coast. Just enjoy some time together as kind of an end of summer celebration, but also a time to uh, say goodbye to our seniors that will be moving out of youth group in the end of August here. So that is this Sunday. There is no regular youth group that will be in the place of regular youth group. And then the following Sunday, which is the Sunday of the holiday weekend, we will not be meeting for regular youth group. And so you'll have a week off there before we get started again in September. Yeah. So this week we're in Ruth chapter 3, and we talked about this idea of taking action, or how we talked about how God's providence a couple weeks ago, and now this is like how human action interacts with God's providence. And we talked about that a little bit when we talked about God's providence. But Ruth chapter 3 is kind of a weird chapter. So at the end of chapter 2, Ruth finds out about Boaz. Boaz cares for Ruth, and Ruth goes back and tells her mother-in-law Naomi about Boaz, and Naomi reveals to Ruth that Boaz is one of their family's redeemers. And this is something in their culture. We're going to talk about it next week while we're at the coast. But it's this idea that there's these people who were kind of like next in line family relatives who could continue on and provide a male heir to a deceased male family member who had not had a male heir surviving themselves. And so Elimelech is that male heir. Remember, he had two sons, but they both died while they were in Moab and left their wives. And so one of those was Ruth, and her mother-in-law Naomi returned to Israel with no male heir to take the inheritance and pass it on to the next generation. And so these family redeemers were people who could do that. They could choose to marry someone from a female from the family of the person who did not have an heir to continue that family line and pass that family's land and inheritance down. And so Ruth finds out that Boaz is that to Elimelech's family, who Naomi is a part of. And her mother-in-law make a plan, and the plan is for Ruth to go to Boaz, and she goes to him while he is lying down on the threshing floor, and essentially what she does is she proposes marriage to him. It's not really like how we would think of it today, where you like get down on a knee and do all that thing, but it is essentially the same idea of she goes to Boaz and solicits him to be their family's redeemer. In other words, she's saying, Boaz, would you marry me and so be the redeemer of Elimelech's family through me to Naomi? And so it is Ruth's taking action and actually choosing to go to Boaz here that kind of kicks things off. We know that Boaz is at least somewhat interested in Ruth based on last week, where he's like providing all this grain and stuff for her. But here Ruth is the one that goes to Boaz. Um, and Boaz calls Ruth a worthy woman. And this is similar to how last week Boaz was called a worthy man. And here we get that like these two people are both worthy. Last week, Boaz, the Israelite man who is doing what God desires, he was leaving grain for the foreigners to thresh. He is called a worthy man. And here, Ruth, the foreign Moabite woman, is called a worthy woman. And so that's big. Remember, Moabites were not necessarily always included in the people of God at this time. It was looked down on. And so for Boaz and the author of Ruth to deem Ruth a worthy woman is a big thing. And it's really her action, taking these actions to um, try to give some social standing and to continue the inheritance of Elimelech and Naomi and her family is what causes her to be recognized as this. Um, so they they go. The problem is Boaz. He agrees to do this thing. However, he reveals that there is someone else in line in front of him who is actually a closer relative to Elimelech, who can be the redeemer before him. And in just as much as Ruth shows like this idea that we need to take action, it's good to take action. Boaz communicates something different, something else, and that is that it's not just good to take action, but how we take action is important. How we do something is just as important as that we do it sometimes. And Boaz wants to do it all legit. He wants to make sure that they follow all the legal proceedings, that they go through all the steps to make this um, marriage to Ruth a legitimate thing that is in agreement with their customs and their laws at the time. Um, and so, yeah, that's where we end. And so next week we're going to see the end of the story, the end of this kind of love story, but it's also this commentary to the people of Israel about how they're doing and what they maybe should be focusing on as they move into the future in this time of Judges. And so this week was about taking action. It's good to take action. God works through us in a number of ways, often when we choose to take actions, especially those that agree with the things that are important to God. God can work through those things, but how we take those actions is often just as important as that we are taking those actions. So that is Ruth chapter 3. I hope you guys are well. Hang in there. School's starting. It's just around the corner, however that looks. So we'll be praying for you guys. And yeah, we will see you Sunday, Thursday on here for our midweek. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon.